First off, let's talk pots and pans, okay? So my favorite pan in all the kitchen is my frying pan. This is the workhorse of a kitchen. You could cook almost everything in a frying pan, or what some people would call a saute pan, but we're gonna call it a frying pan. You could do what you could do in a saucepan just in a frying pan if you really wanted to. It might not be as ideal, but it's really important. If you're new to cooking and you haven't picked out a frying pan, you really want to try to focus on, if you're going to spend any money in your kitchen for equipment, it's this pan. It's really important. A lot of the pans on the market are super thin, and the problem with the super thin pan is they have uneven cooking. If you can spend a few dollars, like this is a made-in, all the pans, pots and pans, and all the equipment that I use in my kitchen, I'll leave a link to them down below. But this made-in pan is just heavy duty. You can tell how solid this is. It's built to last. I got a bunch of cooked oil on the bottom that I should try to get off. But they also put in different plies of metal to be built up. And those different metals help retain the heat. Another thing about spending a few dollars on a frying pan is the way they cook. So the cheaper metal heats up too fast and it doesn't retain the heat. One thing about frying pans is you could boil something in there if you wanted to. You could partially steam something if you had to. You have a lot of surface area, and that's the huge benefit of a frying pan. That surface area is going to give us the opportunity to brown things, and that's really important in cooking to bring out flavor. Now you might be asking, well, what size frying pan do I need? If you're cooking for yourself, maybe just a 10-inch is fine. But this is a 12-inch frying pan. If you have a family, I'd definitely go for a 12-inch. It's typically the biggest they make, but a 12-inch frying pan, even if you were single or just you were a couple, it's going to be great for all kinds of recipes. One thing about frying pans is I do not do anything in non-stick. I don't believe in it. So if you have like a bird in a house, it would kill the bird if you overheated that pan, and that was the Teflon. Like, they've created all these other things since then, but I still, from the reading I've done, there really isn't a safe non-stick pan to what I consider safe. Like with the Teflon, if it could kill your bird, it's probably not good to be breathing that in, right? So like I said, it's really important. If you're gonna invest in any of these pots and pans in this section, in this chapter, I'm telling you, frying pan is the most important pan to jump into. All right, next up, let's talk about saucepans. So this is probably your next pan that's really important. You got to make sure it has a top to it. That's really important when we're boiling anything here or we're making our rice, and you need to cover it up to keep that liquid and that moisture within what you're cooking. Super important. So you want to get yourself a saucepan. This is a 4-quart, I believe. Yep, it's a 4-quart. This is a perfect size to do all kinds of things. If you can afford it, get a 2-quart and a 4-quart. A little bit smaller, could be a lot better for rice, things like that. I could cook a whole thing of spaghetti, pasta in one of these, in this size pan. So saucepan is probably the second most important pan, I would say, in your kitchen, behind the frying pan. Next for pot and pans, we got a stock pot. You definitely can go stainless on this. You don't need to have one like this. It has an enamel inside, but stainless is definitely fine too. So if I had this whole set, which I don't, I would probably have the made-in and a stainless too. But this works just as well. If you kind of notice in my kitchen, I buy the things that I need individually, and I'll buy a set with a bunch of useless stuff. So I'm giving you everything that I think is essential for a home cook. So a stock pot, I like to make my own chicken stock, and you need a stock pot like this. Maybe you're making a big sauce or spaghetti. This is something you're gonna need. You're doing steamers or something with volume. That's what makes a stock pot so important. So get yourself a stock pot. This would be on the bottom of the list if you were only gonna start out, with the cooking basics here. stick with the frying pan. At the very least, get yourself a frying pan and a saucepan. 2 quart, 4 quart in a frying pan. This could come later if you need, because you could probably do most of everything in a 4 quart saucepan. Another pot and pan that's like pretty essential is a strainer. You don't have to have a strainer, so this would be on the very bottom of my list. It just makes it kind of easy when you're draining stuff, pasta or vegetables that you have to get out of that pot or pan that you've been steaming or boiling. This can be make things a lot easier. But you can also, to strain stuff, if you have a good pan, you can also strain it by just using the cover like that and pouring it out. I can tell you from experience though, if you have a whole thing of pasta and you're trying to hold it back in your sink like that and you're draining it, you can slip and then lose the whole pasta in the sink. So get yourself a strainer if you can. If not, you can use the lid for now. So I just do all my pans in stainless steel. If you've been on my cooking channel, Home Cook Basics, you'll see that I cook only in stainless, and you can do anything in stainless. I even have a video that I'll link below that was an over easy egg in a stainless steel pan, which people think that you cannot do. So I highly recommend stick with stainless steel. You don't need non-stick. I'm going to show you how to cook in stainless steel, and you're going to love it. All right, in that last chapter, we talked about pots and pans, right? Everything that goes on top of the stovetop. Now we're going to get into baking, like what goes in the oven. This is another part that's really important. This course covers like the savory part of baking. We're not going to do desserts, but like, so when you do bacon chicken, or I even have a video, not in the course, but on Home Cook Basics YouTube channel about baking bacon in there. So we're going to cover the essential pans, and I really think you need all of these. There is one that you just got to have, and let's cover that one first. So the most important pan, if you have anything to do with baking in your oven, is definitely a sheet pan. So all my stuff here is little because I use my Breville oven for almost all my cooking. So this is a little stuff, but you can get the bigger stuff. Like this is a 1/4 sheet. For a full oven, you get a half sheet pan. But you know, aluminum sheet pans are extremely versatile. They're cheap. You know, get one that's all aluminum, 100% aluminum. I buy the ones without a coating. Like you'll start to see, like I don't like anything with coatings on it. So these, like again, it's made in. Like I think I'm trying to just sell made in, but I like a lot of their products. But there's no coating on this. So sheet pan. Cover this with vegetables and you can roast in it. Baking cookies, it's a quick and easy pan. You're gonna reheat something, you could throw it on your sheet pan to reheat food. Baking, everything. It's got a nice surface area. Just remember though, when you're cooking on a sheet pan, the liquid, it's gonna be cooking in whatever liquid you have. So that's important to think about with a sheet pan. But hugely important, get yourself one. And and don't get one with any non-stick coatings or anything like that. Now we'll go into another pan that maybe not as important as the sheet pan, but a roasting pan. A lot of stoves, when you get them, they come with this. Actually, I don't know if they do anymore, but they used to come with the roasting pan. Now the benefit of the roasting pan is this little wire rack in there keeps the food off the bottom so it's not in the liquid. So it's able to drip off of it. This could be good for some reasons, like chicken, getting those drippings off. It also helps the food brown because it's not sitting in a liquid. Airflow can get around it. If you're cooking convection or an air fryer, like this little guy goes in my Breville air fryer, which is a stove too, which is an oven too. It's able to get that air underneath the food. So these are great pans. You could put your little chicken on there or whole turkey, or in your oven with the full size one of these, the whole bird. You could also roast veggies in this, so super important. Get yourself one of these if you don't have one that came with your stove. But this would be second to the 1/4 sheet pan, the aluminum pan. This one is most important. I mean, this is where you cook your cookies, right? All right, another super important pan to have is a baking dish of some sort. This is a little 9x9, but the bigger one is a 9x13, I believe. But get yourself one of these. It's really important because this is when you're cooking food within itself. Like it has to be self-contained, so all those juices and that heat can be retained. They're usually made out of like the ceramic with an enamel coating. You got to have one of these. These are great for lasagna. These are great for baking brownies. There's just a number of things you can do with these. You know, the next step too, besides this, is to get yourself one that you could use for meatloaf, right? That's very popular. And you can make all kinds of things in a pan like that, like even breads and stuff. But get yourself a casserole dish or baking dish, and that would wrap up what you essentially need as a home cook for baking in your oven.